Let me ask you something. Are you tired of that feeling? You know the one. The clock is just screaming at you, the text is a blur, and you're running out of time on the IELTS reading test? Well, what if I told you the secret isn't about reading faster, it's about reading smarter? Today we're going to completely change the way you see this test. We're moving from just reading to decoding. First things first, we have to talk about what I call the great paradigm shift. See, most people think the IELTS reading test is all about speed and understanding every single word. That's the myth. But the reality, that's not the game you're actually playing. At its core, this is a vocabulary and matching test. Seriously, once you truly get that, everything changes. It is the absolute key to beating that clock.
All right, so here's our game plan. We're going to lock in that new paradigm shift. Then we'll get into the core skills, scanning and anchoring. After that, we'll tackle everyone's biggest fear, unknown words. Then we'll cover how to build your vocabulary arsenal. And finally, we'll put it all together.
So let's really let this sink in. Your goal is not to have a nice, relaxing read. It's not about deep, profound understanding of the text. Nope. Your mission is to be a detective. Your only job is to find specific clues in the text that match the questions. It's a search and find mission, plain and simple. And the way you do that, the whole mechanic of the test, boils down to this one simple, powerful formula. You take the keywords from the question and you hunt for their equivalents, their synonyms and paraphrases that are hidden in the text. That moment of connection, that little click in your brain when you find the match, that's where you find the answer. This is literally the master key to the entire test.
Okay, so how do we actually put this into practice? Well, that brings us to our first pillar, scanning and anchoring. This is your toolkit for getting through those huge passages of text fast. Think of it like this. You're not just wandering around a city hoping to find an address. You're using GPS coordinates to go directly to it.
Now for this to work, you've got to know that there are two types of keywords. First, you've got your anchors. These are your best friends on the test. We're talking proper nouns, names, dates, numbers. They don't change, they won't be disguised. You're going to find these and draw a circle around them. They're your fixed points on the map. Then you have concepts. And these guys, these are chameleons. They're ideas, they're verbs, and you have to expect them to be transformed into synonyms. This is where the real matching game is played. And here, this is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. So the question might use a phrase like longer days. You could scan that text forever and never find those exact two words. But what you will find is something like increasing day lengths. The meaning is exactly the same. Finding that paraphrase, that's the aha moment. That's how you know you're in the right place. Right. But what happens when you're scanning and you hit a word you have never, ever seen before? This triggers instant panic for so many people. And that brings us to pillar number 2, which I call the don't panic rule. I want you to hear this loud and clear. You will run into words you don't know. It's not a sign you're unprepared. It's literally part of the test design. The absolute biggest mistake, the trap you have to avoid, is stopping and trying to perfectly translate it. It's a total waste of your time. So what do you do instead? You change the question you ask yourself. You stop asking, what does this mean? Instead, you install a new filter in your brain and you ask one simple thing. Is this what I'm looking for? Yes or no? This tiny shift keeps you moving, it keeps you efficient, and it stops the panic. And here's why that works. Because context is king. I mean, look at this. Even with a bunch of words blacked out, your brain is smart enough to figure it out. You see words like crimes, including, and murder, and you can immediately deduce that the missing words are probably other types of crimes. See? You don't need a dictionary. Your brain is already a detective. You just have to trust the context. Okay, so all of that leads us right into our third pillar, which is all about the long-term strategy, building your arsenal. This is how we move beyond just memorizing words and start building a vocabulary that's truly powerful and flexible under pressure. You know, just learning a single definition for a word is, well, it's fragile. It'll break when you need it most. To score a band 7 or higher, you need to think about a word's entire ecosystem. What does that mean? It means you know its part of speech, you know its most common synonyms, which is how the test will try to trick you, and you know its collocations, which are just the other words it likes to hang out with. And this is exactly what a high-scoring vocabulary note looks like. You're not just writing the word commitment and one definition. No way. You're capturing its whole ecosystem. You list its synonyms, like dedication. You list its collocations, like make a commitment. And you write a sentence to see it in action. This is real, active learning that actually sticks.
All right, so we've covered the huge mindset shift, the core techniques for the test itself, and the long-term vocabulary strategy. Let's pull every single one of these pieces together into one simple, powerful framework you can use.
This is it, your mastery framework. It's just 3 steps. 1, you match. You find those solid anchors and you hunt for the paraphrase concepts. 2, you deduce. When you hit a word you don't know, you use the context around it to figure out what you need to know. And 3, you collect. Outside of the test, you're constantly building your vocabulary arsenal by collecting those word ecosystems. Match, deduce, collect. That's your entire game plan. What this all means is that you're fundamentally changing who you are when you take this test. You're not just a passive reader anymore, just hoping you understand enough. With this framework, you become an active agent. You're a code breaker. You are no longer reading, you are decoding.